The early sunlight slipped gently through the towering windows of the Kenner estate, yet even that warm glow couldn't hide the weary lines etched across Evelyn Hart's aging face. For months, the elderly man had been suffering in silence, drifting through the grand mansion like a fading shadow, pressing a trembling hand against his lower back, flinching with every step, and masking the pain with a tired smile whenever his son, Kenner, the wealthy and influential businessman, stopped by. Kenner always assumed his father was simply getting older, that the stiffness was normal, that the dullness in his eyes was nothing more than the passing of time. But that comforting belief fell apart the day he returned home at an unexpected hour on a calm, ordinary afternoon, and witnessed something no son should ever see behind his back. Before we move forward, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? And don't forget to like and subscribe to Black and Wronged for more heart-touching stories. Let's get started. Kenner was a man forged in the fires of business battles, yet his heart softened for the father, who had raised him alone after his wife passed away years ago. Evelyn Hart had once been full of vigor, laughter echoing through the Kenner estate. Lately, though, that light had dimmed. He often insisted he was fine, dismissing Kenner's worries, claiming he didn't want to trouble anyone. Kenner trusted him and believed that his young wife, Madison, graceful, polished, and appearing devoted, was keeping an eye on his father while he was away, managing deals and traveling. Yet sometimes, when Kenner returned late in the evening, small troubling signs caught his attention. Faint bruises marked Evelyn's frail arms. Meals sat untouched and cold on the marble counters, and his father seemed to limp more than usual. Madison always waved it off. He's forgetful. He's clumsy. He won't let me help. And Kenner wanted to believe her. He needed to believe her. One bright afternoon, Kenner finished a long business meeting earlier than usual. It was uncommon for him to return home before the evening sun dipped low. Today he planned a small surprise, a quiet lunch with Madison, and a slow afternoon with his father. As he drove into the private driveway and stepped inside Kenner Estate, a strange heaviness hung in the air, unsettling for such a sunlit day. Moving carefully through the hallways, he followed a faint, broken sound drifting from the east wing, a strained voice murmuring apologies. The noise led him to the guest bathroom. Kenner's steps slowed as he neared, and when he cracked the door open, the scene inside left him stunned, his heart sinking. The bathroom gleamed in white marble, gold accents shining in the sunlight. Yet there on the cold floor knelt Evelyn Hart, trembling and sweating, trying to scrub the toilet with a rigid, agonized posture. His back was painfully bent, shallow breaths escaping, and his worn gray shirt clung to ribs that seemed too fragile for the effort. On his chest rested a bulky beige baby carrier, holding two dozing infants, the Kenner twins. Children of Kenner, not Madison, but from his first marriage. Madison had insisted that Evelyn Hart could manage them during the day, claiming it kept him occupied. But Kenner had never imagined a scene like this. Evelyn's hands trembled, his knuckles pale, and every swipe of the cloth sent a clear jolt of discomfort through him. Standing above him was Madison, wrapped in a sleek, expensive maroon day dress, arms folded tightly, her stare flat and cold like polished stone. Her voice carried no warmth as she ordered Evelyn to quit whining and move faster. Kenner stood still, unable to intervene, watching Madison tap her high heel against the floor with sharp impatience. She didn't shout, yet the edge in her tone cut deeper than any raised voice. Evelyn whispered apologies under his breath, shrinking like a scared child, terrified of upsetting her. Kenner's heart clenched painfully. He suddenly realized that Evelyn Hart wasn't just suffering. Physically, he was trapped. In his own emotions, afraid to speak up, terrified of troubling his son. Evelyn flinched abruptly, his whole body stiffening, and he slumped slightly, nearly toppling forward. Madison's face remained unmoved. She just rolled her eyes and muttered that he was getting slower by the day and should consider himself lucky to live here at all. Kenner pushed the door open fully, and the sound jolted them both. Evelyn looked up, wide-eyed and frightened, while Madison froze at the sight of her husband standing there, seeing everything she had thought would remain hidden. Something inside Kenner finally snapped. The betrayal went far beyond marriage. It was deeply human. Kenner rushed to Evelyn Hart, lifting him with care, feeling the unnatural rigidity in his frame and the subtle recoil that spoke of years of hidden fear. Evelyn tried to speak, claiming he was fine, but his voice trembled. Kenner tightened his hold, tears stinging his eyes. He helped Evelyn Hart out of the bathroom, leaving Madison frozen, caught in her own reflection of cold cruelty. Once they reached the bright light of Evelyn's bedroom, Kenner demanded the truth. It came out slowly in jagged, painful fragments. How Madison forced him to clean every single day. How Madison never let anyone in the house come near him. How she punished him by skipping meals. How she forced him to care for the Kenner twins even while he was in pain. How she twisted his sense of duty, claiming Kenner would think him ungrateful if he complained. It was cruelty dressed up as control, and Evelyn Hart had silently endured it just to preserve peace in Kenner's marriage. Kenner's sorrow quietly turned into determination, not loud and explosive, but sharp enough to change everything. He contacted his lawyer, collected proof from the Kenner estate's security cameras, confronted Madison both legally and face-to-face, and cut her out of their lives completely. The divorce moved fast, public, and final. Madison tried to defend herself, but the evidence spoke louder than any of her practiced excuses. The following days passed slowly, yet brought quiet healing. Kenner arranged for a full-time caregiver for Evelyn Hart, revived the warmth within Kenner estate, and spent long afternoons with his father in the garden, listening to stories that had once gone unheard in the rush of life. He understood that no fortune could matter if those he loved suffered in silence. Over time, Evelyn regained not only his physical strength but also his emotional peace. The Kenner twins clung to him, tiny souls orbiting a man finally allowed to rest. And Kenner himself rebuilt more than just his family. He rebuilt his own heart. He learned to look past perfect appearances, to question what lay behind closed doors, and to cherish loved ones openly while they were still near. If this story moved you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Black and Wronged. Your support allows us to share more true, heartfelt, and inspiring stories. Before we wrap up, tell us in the comments, would you have forgiven Madison or walked away for good? With that, the painful chapter in Kenner estate came to a close. Not in silence, but with truth, healing, and the warm light of a new beginning.